I will share my screen. Okay, starting the video. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
So, now, right now, we will talk about the circulatory system. Circulatory system, it has heart. The main organ is heart, a muscular organ. That's the size. This size is around your the size of your fist. Okay, so if you have a big fist, genggaman tangan ini ya, means your size also bigger. Okay, so each person's heart will be the size is around their own fist. Okay. It's located at the center, slightly left center. Jadi agak ke kiri, slightly left center of our chest. Nah, this heart, it has two divisions, the right side and the left side. The right side, how we know which one is right or left, it's not like you facing the picture. Okay, this is my right hand, but if you see on the pictures, it's the opposite direction. Why? Because when we want to later on draw about it or read about it, we need to place ourselves as the model. Okay, not we look at the model, but we place it as the model. So it's facing that direction. Then you have the right side and your left side. The opposite direction with how we have our right hand and left hand. Okay. And then why it has this type of division? Because actually it will prevent from the rich oxygen rich blood, or what we call as oxygenated blood, and the oxygenated blood or oxygen poor blood for being mixed. So if you see here, it's divided. So between, let's say, the good blood and the bad blood will not mix. The oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood. Why it has color, always has color red and blue? Because if you see, you can see it on your screen. Okay. You can see it on your skin. If you have a fair skin, you can see under your skin there's something that has like a capillaries, a tube that has blue color. Means that's the oxygen poor blood, okay, or what we call as deoxygenated blood. Okay, that's why here for the deoxygenated blood is also given color blue, just like our hands. While the other one, the one is like our blood red, okay? The oxygenated blood. Okay, we'll continue. This heart will pump throughout our body through capillaries, and in capillaries there will be the transition between the oxygen, okay, and the oxygen, and after it's used by the organ, it will transport the carbon dioxide. Now, so the blood vessel will carry the oxygen through the rest of our body, and this heart will pump around 5 quarts blood every minute, or it can be 100,000 beats per day. Okay, without we notice it, it beats that much, even more. Now, this one, if you see the blue color uh, indicate the rich in oxygen or poor in oxygen. Tadi yang misalnya jelasin yang mana? Anyone?
Poor.
Okay, thank you. The oxygen poor blood, or what we call as deoxygenated blood. Okay, it will go through our for our right atrium and and then goes to the right ventricle. What is atrium? What is ventricle? So its division between right and left, it will again have a smaller compartment. The upper one, we call it as atrium, while the one at the bottom, we call it as ventricles. For the blood from our whole organ, from our body, it will enter the right atrium first, then it goes to the right ventricle, and then from the right ventricles, and then it will be pumped by pulmonary arteries. Pulmonary means a lung, okay? So it will be pumped by pulmonary arteries, goes to our lung. And by the lung that we have, the blood will be refreshed. The oxygen poor blood will be refreshed, become oxygenated blood or rich in oxygen. And then it goes, if you see here, it goes to the left atrium, and then goes to the left ventricle before it's pumped to the aorta. This is the aorta that will pump through the rest of our body. Now, between atrium and ventricle, there are 4 valves. Okay. Valve is like a gate in a fence that only can open one way, only can open one direction. Okay. The valve between the right atrium and the right ventricle, we call it tricuspid valve, while the one from the right ventricle goes to the lung, we call it pulmonary valve. The other one from the left side of the heart, from the atrium to the ventricle, we call it mitral valve, while for the one from the ventricle, left ventricle to aorta, we call it aortic valve. And if you see here, can you see the illustration? Okay, watch closely. Okay, if the valve from the atrium is from the ventricle is open like this, okay, the valve from the atrium will be closed, okay, and the other way around. If the valve from the atrium is open, then the valve from the ventricle will be closed, and it's all cycle only happen within a second or less than a second. And personally, that makes me amazed how great God has created us, okay? How great God has created living things, because even from a tiny organ, not tiny, the small organ that we have, okay, our heart, okay, the valve, which is even tinier, it has a automatic works that even until right now, we human cannot imitate it. We human cannot make the synthetic heart. We can do transplantation though, but we cannot make heart itself because it's very, very complex. Okay, it has so many tiny and yet so marvelous system like this. Okay, I will continue. So yeah, that's how great our God is. Okay, and then now, what's happened here? Okay, if this beating happen, the muscle will be contract and relax. We have two terms for it: systole and diastole. What is systole means? Okay, I'll explain it in details after this. So if you see here, this one is systole. Okay, that's happen when your ventricle muscles contract okay, and then push the blood either to the lung or to the body. So have you ever seen a ketchup bottle? Okay, if you ever seen ketchup bottle, sometimes we need to, let's say like this, yeah, we need to squeeze it, right? You need to squeeze it in order the sauce inside it to come out. Now, that's also happen with our heart. When the muscles of the ventricle contract, means it's like being pushed, being squeezed, and then the blood will be pumped, okay, through the lung or to the body. And then after that, oh yeah, here if you see between the left and the right, okay, the right ventricles will pump not faster, earlier than the left ventricle, but it's only happen within a few milliseconds, not 1 second, few milliseconds. Okay, the right ventricle will pump first and then followed by the left ventricles. So it's so magnificent how our heart works. Yeah. And then after
Miss,
that, yes.
baru kepikiran, kan darah pompa dari hati kan, dan
Dari
sirkulasi kembali ke
jantung, dari
hati.
jantung, sorry. Dari
Oh ya,
jantung loh
salah,
ya.
bukan hati, jantung.
Ya.
Nah, vessel apa yang connect langsung ke atrium kanan?
Vessel apa yang connect langsung ke atrium kanan? Berarti yang dari badan kita ya?
Iya, Miss.
We call it vein. Okay, everything that carried the blood goes to our heart. We call it vein, while the one that carried from our heart we call it arteries. Nah, for the veins itself, di sini nggak ada gambar veins-nya karena fokusnya di heart. Okay, so the veins is we have like a blood vessel, okay, blood vessel, but it carries the deoxygenated blood and it goes to our atrium. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, you remind me to explain about vein. Thank you. Any other questions before I continue? From the lung, yes.
Miss, okay.
Yes, please. Questions?
Miss, I need to go out the Zoom, Miss. It's lagging, Miss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, try to disconnect and then connect again. I will admit you in. Okay.
Okay.
Even from the lung, if it goes to the left atrium, we call it also the vein. From the, ini tadi misalnya belum yang diastole ya. Okay, so diastole is the other way around. When the ventricles muscles relax, okay, because it's relaxing the ventricle muscles, and it allow the atrium to open the valve and the blood can go into the ventricles. That's what we call diastole. And this process, I will admit camera first. And this process, this cycle goes on and on, okay, within few seconds, okay. Now, if you see, actually our blood itself, it also nourishes our heart itself. This is the heart, right? Our heart itself, it's also nourished by blood that it has blood vessel like this one. If you see on the screen, this blood vessel, we call it coronary arteries. Okay, probably some of you ever heard about coroner, heart coroner, or jantung koroner, gitu ya. Ada yang tahu apa itu jantung koroner? Anyone? Or have you ever heard about it? Or you never heard about it?
Only heard about
Often,
it.
yeah.
Okay. Now, if you see someone that have itu koroner, jantung koroner, artinya apa? Means their blood vessels here on their coronary arteries, it's being blocked either by fats or by calcium, too much calcium, or usually fats, okay? And then the blood will cannot flow smoothly to the heart and makes them, some of them need to have ring. Jadi di sini karena arterinya tuh menyempit, okay, because the blood vessel is getting narrower, so then it needs to be reopened again to become wider by placing a ring inside their heart. So if either your grandma, grandpa, or your father or mother have a ring on their heart, means this part is being reopened, make it wider with that ring. Okay. And these arteries will branches into smaller capillaries. So arteries and the smaller branch, what we call as capillaries. Here you can see that the network of blood vessels that feed your heart, okay, it has red color, means it rich with oxygen. Now, your heart also has this one. This one is electrical wiring. Okay, that's why if you watch in a movie, sometimes when the heart of someone is stop beating, they will charge you with electricity, right? Bukan buat gaya-gayaan. That's not for wow gitu ya. But actually that's to trigger this part, our right atrium, to have the electrical wiring again. Why? Because this electrical wiring from the right atrium, it will transfer the impulse to your heart, especially to this part of the ventricles. Okay, this is through special pathways. It will go to the ventricles to delivering signal for the ventricle to contract. So if it's contract, it can pump your blood. Okay, so the electrical wiring here is very crucial in order to make our blood able to pump. Okay. And this is the whole cycle of circulatory system. Okay. Do you have any questions? I will share. Okay. Do you have any questions, guys?
No.
Am I too fast for you?
Miss.
Yes. Yes. Just ask me. Okay. In my lessons, you can ask about anything. Okay. If you don't feel you like to ask it in by your own voice, you can just type it. I will read it. Okay, and I will answer it. No questions? Okay. If there is no questions, then you are the one that having a task for me, a special assignment for me. Okay. Yesterday I told you to wear a comfortable clothes, right? Because after this, I will ask you to do something. Okay. At your room, it's okay. Now, how many of you know how can we measure our heartbeat? Gimana caranya kita mengukur heartbeat? Anyone?
Tangan bisa dong kayak di tangan pasti.
Nah, betul. The easiest part, so we have several big arteries, okay? The first one. Nah, betul. Good. That's why even if in movie usually they touch this part, okay? Slightly below your ear, okay? You can feel it now. You can feel your heartbeat there, or your palm. Okay, if your palm, you will put it like this, then you can feel something like beating under your skin. You count it. Okay, so here's my task for you before we come back to the Zoom meeting later on. Okay, for the next 20 minutes, I will ask you to measure your heartbeat. How, Miss, can we do that? Okay, you can place yang daripada di sini susah gitu ya, kamu mau gerak-gerak. Place it on your this part ya, on your hand, and then set your handphone or your timer for 15 seconds. Okay. After it start 15 seconds, then you start to count how many beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, until 15 seconds, and then you just multiply it by 4. Okay, so you have your heartbeat within 1 minute. Is it clear? Okay, so
Yes.
yes, clear, Christian?
Yep.
Kenapa, Chris? Sorry.
Agak.
Okay, so I will ask you to measure your heartbeat within 1 minute. Okay, or if you have something, tools like this is called oximeter. You can see there, it's stated this one 99%, 98%, actually my oxygen saturation, while this one 92 is my heartbeat right now. You can use tools if you have it. If not, just follow my first instruction. Okay, you measure your heartbeat, and then after you measure, write it down, and then you jump as high as possible for 20 times. Jump 20 times. Okay, and then you run, lari di tempat gitu ya. Lari di tempat selama 20 detik. Okay. After that, you measure again your heartbeat. Can you do that? Questions?
Miss,
Yes,
ini
Miss.
measure-nya itu per
Measure-nya itu kenapa?
15 detik atau 1 menit? Aku bingung.
Benernya bisa 1 menit. Nah, kamu mau nungguin 1 menit ya bisa. Cuman biasanya kita itu kalau ngitungnya kelamaan itu akhirnya kita lupa gitu. Nah, biar lebih gampang, ngitungnya 15 detik aja dikaliin
Kali
4.
4.
Itu kan sama dengan
Oke.
60 detik. Jadi sama dengan 1 menit. Oke?
Oke, Miss.
Oke.
Berarti like 1 menit ya nggak? Tambah lari 1 menitnya lari gitu.
Nah, 1 menit sebelum ngapa-ngapain. Sekarang, posisimu sekarang sambil duduk. Oke? Itu kamu hitung. Jadi kalau kamu nggak ngapa-ngapain, heartbeat-nya berapa? Terus setelah kamu lari-lari tadi, lari-lari, lompat-lompat gitu ya. Oke? Terus kamu hitung heartbeat-mu itu berapa. Oke?
Oke.
Terus yang terakhir, yang ketiga, kalau kamu plank itu kan kita nggak gerak bener ya. Oke, kamu coba plank 1 menit. Setelah plank 1 menit, heartbeat-mu berapa? Oke, so you will have 3 measurement. The first one, right now, when you do nothing. Okay? The second one, after you have a cardio impact, tadi lari-lari di tempat gitu ya. 30 detik aja, jadi 30 detik lari-lari di tempat, 30 detik lompat-lompat gitu ya. Terus diukur heartbeat-nya berapa. The last one, yes, when you have, yes, Jerry, same like mine. So the last one, when you do plank for 1 minute and then measure the heartbeat. Okay, do that at 12:15. Kebanyakan ya. 20 menit dari sekarang. 12:45, I will open the Zoom link and we gather again for the